Hey guys, it's Juss, and today we are going to be talking about witch runes. I posted a photo just a couple of weeks ago, which I will put here. As soon as I posted that, I got some private messages with questions, and I figured, what better way to answer questions than a YouTube video? I have my witch runes right here, and I did make these myself. Did this with a friend. We loved having this activity to do together. It was very witchy, it was very fun, and I highly recommend it if you have a nice branch that you could cut down and wood burn or even paint. Some of you may know that I love giving you the history of certain things. There are a few different ways that history is told about them, so I'm actually not going to do that and just recommend that if you're interested in furthering your knowledge with witch runes and its history, to go ahead and just look at the extensive tidbits of information on them and kind of see which one resonates the best with you, because I feel like I wouldn't go ahead and give you the history on something that I'm not pretty certain on. This is basically just something newer in comparison to obviously like regular runes. Witch runes are not as common, but they are starting to develop more and more, and I see a lot more people using them now. There are also a couple of different sets. I've seen one with 8, I've seen one with 10. This one is 13 runes, so keep in mind that there are many different variations of witch runes, and this one's just mine, and as all my videos are, this is just my interpretation of either what I'm demonstrating or how I practice something. So of course, further your research if you want to see things differently from someone else, because a lot of people do things differently, and that's okay. It's also my artistic work on these, so they're not that great, but for the usage that I do and it connects mostly with me, then I find that that's not an issue. The first one we have up is the sun. The sun is bright, so like good news. It's also really good with healing, and it's fantastic to know that there is something on the horizon and something new. It's also great representation for vitality and good choices, so that's something too. Now there is a little controversy on the meaning of these. I kind of don't mind the way the meanings of these ones are, but you have the male and you have the female witch rune. The male typically is dominant, it's a provider, it means things are going to be well taken care of. I know it sounds kind of juvenile saying male characteristics, especially in such a rapidly changing world with many different meanings and many different everythings. Typically in witch runes nowadays, this is the dominance and provider and hunter and a lot of the older male aspects. Then we have the female here, and I think that the symbol is actually pretty to the point, as is male. But the female is nurturer. I also like this one for Mother Nature, and I really like it for that caring aspect or taking care of something or being on top of something and kind of being detail oriented at times. And basically, just like I said about the other one, this one has a lot of like traditional womanly aspects and characteristics to it, so those can be linked to these symbols. Next up, we have the rings, which is the connection between people, and also when things are joined or working well together, they're coagulating, they're becoming one. It's good for unity. It's good for meaning that something is coming together and creating something new. Something new is coming out of something that is changing and interlocking. We have this guy here, which is romance. It is the connection of people in regards to love and the harmony of people. It's also great representation of passion, relationships, and really giving your all to something in regards to your heart. Next we have the star. I did mine as a pentacle. I really liked the idea of making it a pentacle because it has huge meaning in my practice, so it kind of just felt right to do that. This one tends to mean that you are taking things and making them as you want. You are going towards what you want to do. It is about embracing you as you are, having others embrace you for who you are, and just really overall very introverted perspective. This one is probably one of my top 3 favorites. It's the scythe. I like this one because it means things coming to a sudden end, the ending and beginnings. Basically, it's like the death card in tarot. It might be scary because, of course, it's weaponry, but it has to do with the rejuvenation and life coming to an end and rebirthing itself. a situation just done and over with. And it also has to do with possibly dangerous situations and getting yourself out of danger or even putting yourself into danger and then recognizing that. I just really enjoy this one. So these two are very similar to me. Almost in meaning, but they're two different variations and do have two separate meanings, but they also look very similar. We have flight and we have waves, and you can tell they're very similar. This looks just like movement of water, and then this one here, the way I did this kind of reminds me of like in kindergarten when you made birds, like little V's. That's why I did it like this, but I've seen multiple variations of the drawings in artwork, of course. So flight is basically traveling of any kind. It's also the movement. Now they're both movement, but flight is the movement of information and communication, and I feel like with flight intuitively, it's kind of like when you level up off of the ground level of yourself and you kind of get into that airspace and travel that way. Of course, it has to do with physical traveling, but also I feel like it has a lot to do with traveling of how we work with others, like why it's connected to communication and things like that. Waves is more emotional travel. It has to do with when you're stuck. I also feel it kind of is an overview of the flow of your life and kind of when things aren't in your control. It's a reminder that you can feel very overwhelmed and swallowed and bogged down, kind of stuck in a tidal wave and unable to swim outward. And I think that's the kind of movement that I feel from this one, and have also researched and find that many people have similar meanings of this one. A lot of the time it also is the movement that you have in communication with the spirit world, and I think it's because it hits home with the water element and the flow and connection with others, which in tarot, water is the connection with others, and I feel like it kind of leaks into this as well. And I realized I was talking about water and said the word leak, so point for me. The next one up is crossroads, and the crossroads are pretty cut and dry. It's when you come up to that point, that fork in your life and need to make decisions. It could represent being stuck and not knowing which direction to take, or not being able to take a move forward or backward or sideways, being stuck and kind of needing to make those decisions. And I feel like this is probably also another one of my top 3. Now we have harvest. Harvest is good representation of bounty, reaping rewards, setting stuff up, being able to plant the seeds for something to bloom so beautifully, and then being able to take the rewards from that. Giving yourself the tools you need to succeed. It's providing something substantial, and that has to do with harvest. I guess we're on our last one, and that is the eye. Now, this is the final of my top 3. The eye, to me, I am very passionate about the third eye, and I feel like that kind of hits home with this. This is the sight, the gift of sight, the sense of sight, being able to see what you need to, clarity, lifting the veil so you can see what's going on, being able to hit your third eye and intuition, learning processes, I feel all have to do with this. I feel it also has to do with kind of seeing the truth in a lot of manners and seeing through something, so you're very detail oriented, and also kind of focusing on what needs to be focused on with your eyes. That's all I have for you guys. We've gone through all 13 of our witch runes. If you guys have questions, comments, concerns, yada yada yada, place them all below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up because I appreciate that, and that way I know if you like something or not, because that helps me with content creation. So I will see you guys next time. Bye!